Okay guys, so long awaited video for some of you out there who've been asking for this for quite a long time. We are doing my Sneak Attack Regional first place hand testing video slash third place UK National hand testing and combos video. And obviously we're doing this now because, well, Nationals is over. I can now reveal this without, worrying about people knowing all of my combos to know where exactly to stop me. So it's time to show off the deck and give you guys an idea of how the deck kind of works, some of the combo lines, how it can end on some boards, and all of the rest with some random hand tests to show you guys the deck overall. So yeah, today we're going to be doing free hand tests. We're going to show you them, we're going to do some random ones, and we're going to see how good they are, to show you guys how good this deck actually is, and hopefully we won't draw as bad as my final match at Nationals. So yeah, let's go ahead, draw some cards, and see how it goes. So first hand that we're going to get is going to be a Psychic Tracker, Torn Scale, Fog Blade, Water Enchantress, and Stained Greaves. This hand is absolutely insane for going first. So let's go ahead and showcase it to you guys now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by banishing the Water Enchantress. We banish the Water Enchantress, grabbing us our Rite of Aramesir. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Rite of Aramesir to summon our token and place a Fateful Adventure from our deck onto the board. Like so. We are then going to go ahead and declare the Fateful Adventure, which will allow us to search our deck for a adventure monster, the one monster that lists adventure in its name, and we're going to go ahead and add the Griffin Rider because we don't play a legal knight and we're not going to need the Enchantress seeing as we already used it and got plenty of level 3 access in our hand. So we add that to our hand. We're then going to go ahead and send the Fog Blade to the graveyard because the whole reason why we did it this way instead of just normal summoning the Torn Scale and getting the Equip spell was because technically we don't need the Fog Blade in our hand. I'd rather have it in the graveyard as a monster reborn. So we'll go ahead and put that in the graveyard to have the Griffin in our hand. Then we'll go ahead and declare the Griffin Rider's effect, special summoning in defense mode, and declare our Fateful Adventure, allowing us to add now the Dracoback Rider, the Equip spell. We are then going to go ahead and, now that we're, locked from getting hit by hand traps, locked from getting hit by anything dangerous, go ahead and normal summon our Torn Scale and special summon our Psychic Tracker. We are then going to go ahead and link these two away, summoning our Cherubini. And we're going to declare Cherubini, sending from our deck to our grave a Graph Melon Branch of the Burning Abyss. We'll declare Graph's effect to summon our Seer from our deck. Wherever Seer is, there it is, summon it in defense mode. And here's where we hit a point where we can choose two different routes. We can go ahead and summon back the Torn Scale now, giving us the ability to go ahead and make Utopic Future Draco, or we can go ahead and do something a little different. Now, because of the hand right now, we're going to go ahead and make Utopic Future Draco. So what we're going to do is we're going to banish our Torn Scale, our Fog Blade that we discarded earlier, and we're going to special summon our Torn Scale. We're then going to go ahead and use the effect of our we're going to use the effect of our Stained Greaves, which will allow us to special summon the Greaves in defense mode, and we'll go ahead and then use the effect of our Torn Scale, discarding our Dracoback Rider, and sending a Phantom Knights card from our deck to the graveyard. The card we're going to send is going to be a Cloak. And then we are going to proceed to start overlaying stuff. So we're going to overlay these two, which will allow me to summon out our Levianair. We'll declare the Levianair effect. Do not detach the Seer here because we special summon the Stained Greaves. You need to keep the Levianair with the Seer so that way you can guarantee that you can keep going after this. So we detach the Torn Scale, special summoning back our Water Enchantress, and then we're going to overlay these two to go ahead and make the second Levianair. And we're going to go ahead and use our Cloak's effect after this. Use Cloak, which will banish itself to search us any Phantom Knight card from our deck to our hand. We're going to add a Boots, because the Boots will just be a free special summon later on, so we add it there. And then we are going to continue on using our Levianair's effect, detaching the Greaves, special summoning back the Cloak. We then go ahead and overlay these two, putting these two into grave, making our Utopic Future, and then into our Utopic Future Draco. And well, first of all, actually, before we go any further, we should have declared the sear effect. Be careful when you're going too fast. Like, I get it, I'm hand testing, but when you go ahead and overlay these into the utopic future, you do declare the graph effect to special summon back the sear. To declare the sear effect to special summon back the graph into the zone the Cherubini points to. So that way you have another monster. So yeah, we go ahead and summon that into the zone the Cherubini points to. Then we go ahead and make our utopic future Draco. And what we do after that is we link the graph and the Cherubini into our Rusty Bard each, and we'll go ahead and declare the effect of Rusty Bard each here, which will allow me to go ahead and put a card in our grave. What we're going to put in our grave is... Where is the gloves? Because we're going to be going ahead and putting gloves there into the graveyard. And we go ahead and set our Fogblade. So right now we have a Fogblade set, we have an Omni Negate, and we have a Utopic Future Draco Negate. Pretty good board so far, right? Well, it doesn't end here. So we are not done. What we do next is we're going to go ahead and special summon out the boots, special summon that in defense, and then we are going to... Oh, another thing that we actually missed because I was going too fast. This Draco back should be on the token. Yeah, little things like that. There's a lot of things you do in this deck that you can sometimes miss because you do a lot and this deck has a lot of different things. But when you send this to graveyard, you will equip it to the token. So we'll just put that there for now. But obviously, if you did that in a tournament, you wouldn't be able to do that. That would be illegal. You would have forgotten. But hey, for now, just because we're doing a hand testing video and I want to show you the best end boards, we'll put it on there just so it's there. So we go ahead and then use the Cloak's effect, turning it defense to boost the Rusty Bard each, and we'll go ahead and overlay these two, summoning out our Breaksword. We then go ahead and declare the effect of Rusty Bard each, destroying the Breaksword, to then use the Breaksword effect to summon back 2 Phantom Knights from our graveyard. We're going to go ahead and special summon back our Stained Greaves, and we're going to special summon back our Cloak. We're then going to overlay these two to go ahead and special summon out our Time Thief Redoer, and then pretty much we do one more thing after this, which is literally just, well, we do 2 more things, is banish the gloves and banish the boots, which will allow me to go ahead and just add to hand, we'll send to graveyard the wings and add to hand our rank up magic spell. Simple, right? Lots of different things you can potentially do here. And pretty much after that, you set the rank up spell. Your pass turn, it goes to your opponent's turn, and during the standby phase, Redoer will take something, so we can just say, oh, it took a monster for now, so we know it had a monster on it. We go to your opponent's main phase, they attempt to do something, we banish the wings to special summon back the Breaksword to use Rusty Bard each to pop something, and then we can go ahead when our opponent, if it's playing Sword Soul or Branded Fusion or uses Furions, we can just go ahead and use the rank up magic launch, summon out Ophion, put the equip spell under Ophion, and you still have after that a Monster Negate, a Griffin Rider, and also a Fogblade. Like, this deck is mental, especially when you open, well, that good. Like, we opened absolutely insane. We opened 3 extenders in our opening hand, including the Water Enchantress, so this hand was absolutely insane, but this just shows you what the deck is capable of when you can go off. Like, honestly, this board is an Omni Negate. You can pop your opponent's card. Opponent can't special summon level 5 or higher monsters. You've got the Utopic Future Draco Negate. You've got a potential draw, compulse, or just a monster that can return. You've got the Fogblade in grey on the field and can be monster reborn back. Like, honestly, this is sick, and the fact of the matter is, we still have the Water Enchantress engraved to banish to search another right for a discard fodder later on. We have the Torn Scales, so if we want to use the Reader effect, so we can go ahead and get that Cloak back in the graveyard, we can, so we can then go ahead and use the Torn Scales and make it live for next turn. Like, honestly, absolutely insane, and this is why I chose to play it for the Nationals and that Regional, because the deck is absolutely nuts when it goes off. So yeah, that was just the first test hand though. Let's go ahead onto another one and see what we can do then, because as I said guys, this deck is insane and it does have a lot of different combo lines, and we did make like technically 2 mistakes there. We didn't declare the Seer to summon back the Graph, but even if we didn't, we could have still summoned back the Torn Scale to go ahead and go into different plays there. And obviously we didn't equip the Draco back, but hey, if you forget those, it's not the end of the world because you're still going to end on a very busted board. So yeah, but let's go ahead, shuffle this up, and we will go on to another hand and see what we can do with it. So Shuffle it up very well, make sure it's all nice and randomized. Don't want to get those hands that we had at the semi-finals where we just drew Draco back in the equip spell, both game 1 and 2. Game 1 we didn't even open anyway to play the game through it. We just opened like 2 droplets and something else with the double Draco, with the Draco back in equip spell, so that was just really bad. But hey, that's how it goes. You lose some, you win some. That's just how it be. And I'm gonna be a bit upset about it for a bit. Hey, like, you brick both games in the semi-finals when you could go to the finals. It's gonna happen. Anyway, so next hand, let's go ahead and see what we get. And see what we got. So we got the Griffin Rider, the Seer, the Ash, the Right, and the Emergency Teleport. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. This hand is the worst for the one reason, and one reason alone. Because we drew the Seer. Like, if we didn't draw the Seer, this hand is actually really insane, and I'll show you why, but because we drew the Seer, this hand isn't the best, but we'll just use it for discard fodder, so we can't go ahead and go absolutely insane, but we can still do quite a few things. So, how we're going to play this hand is, we are going to go ahead and start off by activating Right of Area Seer and chaining our Griffin Rider. Reason you do this is so that, 1, you can guarantee that you have the Omni Negate unlock as soon as you put the Fateful Adventure down, and 2, it's just a nice way to play around specific things. So we're going to go ahead and put the token on the board and put the Griffin Rider on the board with the Fateful Adventure. So we'll go grab the Fateful Adventure. Like so. And we will see what we can do. So we go ahead and get the Faithful Adventure. We'll then go ahead and use... We'll go ahead and actually use Emergency Teleport here. Special summoning from our deck. Wherever it is. We normally summon Psychic Wielder first as well. I know you saw Tracker there and I could have summoned that, but we normally summon Psychic Wielder first. Reason being, it's the weaker one, so later on in the game, if we do need that 1600 attack, then... hey, we got 1600 attack to attack with, so I just like to summon this first because it's the weaker one. That's pretty much the only reason there. But on summon, we're going to go ahead and declare Faithful Adventure, which will allow me to add the Draco back. And then what we do after this is we literally just declare Faithful Adventure. It will allow us to go ahead and add from our deck to our hand a Water Enchantress. Reason being, it's a free special summon. And then we send the equip spell to grave and re-equip it to the token. We'll then go ahead and declare the effect of the Enchantress, special summoning itself, and then we'll link these two into the Cherubini. We'll declare Cherubini's effect, which will allow me to go ahead and send 1 card from our deck to the graveyard. The card we're going to send is going to be a Cloak, the level 3. Because right now, technically, we can't do a lot with what we have, but because we opened the Seer and haven't needed to normal summon, it isn't the exact end of the world. So we're going to go ahead and then normal summon the Seer, and we're going to go ahead and then link these two to summon out the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche. We'll declare the Seer's effect, which will allow me to go ahead and special summon back the Cherubini. And guys, I'll be honest, normally... this sucks, but I guess in this one instance where we had the ability to special summon 2 times, allowed me to go ahead and make the Rusty Bardiche, made it fine. But technically we could still go ahead and make the Rusty Bardiche, we just have to banish the Cloak, and then normal summon like a Torn Scales or something. But in all honesty, guys, I really do not like the fact that, well, we drew the Seer, because we could have done a lot more if we didn't draw the Seer there. So it's just like, this is the worst card to draw in the deck. Like, that's just how it is. So yeah, we'll go ahead and summon this back, we'll declare the Rusty's effect, which will allow me to put the Torn Scale in grave and set a Fog Blade, wherever the Fog Blade is. There it is. So we go ahead and set that to the board. And then we'll go ahead and banish the Cloak, which will allow me to add the Boots. Wherever the Boots is, there it is. And then we'll go ahead and special summon the Torn Scale. Special summon the Boots. We'll then go ahead and banish the Water Enchantress, so we can go ahead and add from our deck to our hand a Right of Area Seer. Get that in the hand. And we declare the effect of Torn Scale, discarding the Right of Area Seer, to send from our deck to the graveyard. We'll go ahead and send from our deck to the graveyard a... yeah, we'll just send the Wings straight. So go ahead and send that to our grave. Then go ahead and overlay these two. Special summon out the break sword, kill the break sword. Special summon these two back with the break sword's effect. Overlay these two again to make the redoer. And then we use the redoer's effect, banishing it until the end of the turn. Now, you're probably thinking why? The reason why is we actually really need the cloak in the graveyard so we can go ahead and have access into Ophion. So that's the reason why we're doing it. But yeah, the redoer comes back anyway, so it's not that big a deal. So we go ahead and do this. We banish the boots, which will allow me to add the rank up magic. And then we don't think there's anything else we need to do. We've got the Ash in hand. We've got the rank up magic. We set the rank up magic. Go to the end phase, special summon back the redoer. Redoer potentially steals something, probably a monster knowing this format. And then opponent's turn starts. They attempt to do something. We banish the wings, special summon the break sword, kill an opponent's card. Then we can literally just go rank up magic launch, summon the Ophion, or whatever you really. If we haven't summoned the redoer, we can summon the redoer. And then our opponent is then locked out of a lot. We've still got the We've got the Ash Blossom in hand to negate anything they have there. We've got the Fog Blade. We've got the prevention of summoning level 5 or higher monsters. Pop with Rusty Bard each. Omni negate there. And whatever redoer can potentially do. Potentially draw us a card. We draw Torn Scales. If we get a trap, we can compulse something. Like, honestly, it's just a really, really strong board, guys. Like, look at this board. Like, how is most decks in this format outing an Omni Negate, a Fog Blade, and Ash Blossom, which was lucky, I'll give it that. And also like a redoer that can just steal stuff and then give me more draws. Like, honestly, like, it's absolutely insane. And the fact that we still have more for next turn, this should be banished. More for next turn, in the fact that if our Fogblade goes to graveyard, we can just go ahead and special summon back the Rusty and then special summon the Torn Scales. Or if our Cherubini survives, we can go ahead and send another level 3 from our deck to the graveyard. I think that's just absolutely mental, and like, honestly, this is mad having just, like, without the Ash, this is literally an Omni Negate, a Negate, a free pop, and an Ophion. With a redoer that could potentially just go ahead and steal something. Like, this is really, really strong, and I really like it. And this is with the hand where we drew Seer. Like, normally I don't make boards this good when I draw Seer because the other cards aren't very good. We need to use our normal summon, so the Seer is just a discard, so we can't really use the BA parts of our deck. But hell, it's so good, like, when you can just get to 2 level 3s and just have that access to normal summon it, I guess. Like, honestly, this is the first time I've actually made a board this good when I've drawn Seer. It was actually pretty good just having that extension. Like, if we didn't draw the Griffin Rider though, we wouldn't have the Omni Negate, so that was a bit of luck. Well, we could have had the Omni Negate still, I guess. No, we wouldn't be able to normal summon because we need to normal summon the Ash Blossom. Yeah, if without the Griffin Rider, we wouldn't have the Omni Negate. So yeah, drawing the Griffin Rider definitely did make that hand a lot better, but it really, you just don't want to draw Seer. If we didn't draw Seer and we didn't draw the Griffin Rider, it'd still been absolutely insane. Like, we would have probably been able to guarantee quite a few things, I would say. At least double Fog Blade with an Omni Negate. Like, that would be the at least we could potentially do with that hand if we didn't draw the Griffin Rider. If we didn't draw the Seer, sorry. Yeah, probably that. Anyway, next hand, let's see what we get. And final hand for this video, because we've done 2. And we shall see what we get. Okay, shuffle it up, and we start drawing some cards. So that's 5, and let's see what we got. So, we draw our Cloak, Ash Blossom, Water Enchantress, Ash Blossom, and Ratifaris. Double Ash Blossom, you know what? It's fine, discards. But let's see what we can do with this hand, because this hand is actually pretty decent now that I look at it. Like, we can do quite a few things with this. Alright, let's see what we got. So, we're going to start off with our Ratifaris Seer. Go ahead and put the token there, along with the Fateful Adventure. Then we're going to go ahead and special summon our Enchantress and declare the effect of Faithful Adventure, which will allow us to add the Draco back. And then we'll go ahead and use Faithful Adventure effect, adding the Wandering Griffin Rider, discarding the Draco back and equipping it to the token. Like so. We are then because I put the Enchantress there, I never like having the Enchantress in this zone. I like having these zones not occupied. I need this thing occupied by Griffin. So pretty much just to play around that, we're just going to normal summon the Cloak and then make our 4th summon Cherubini, because I like having this zone free for Griffin. I honestly always have this zone for Griffin, and yes, it can be animate away, but in all honesty, if I can get to the board where I just pop it, I don't care. So yeah, we go ahead and put the Griffin Rider there. We summon the Cherubini. We use the Cherubini effect. Now, interesting choice here. We can go either send the Graph to the grave and do things there, or we can go ahead and go send the Tawnscale to the grave, special, search, and do things there. But the correct play is to send the Graph. The Graph is always correct in this situation, just for the fact that we can still Rusty Bard each, send to grave, and still do things like that. And we've got our hat protection already, so it doesn't really matter. So we'll go ahead and send the Graph, and then we'll go ahead and declare it to summon the Seer. Like so, and then we're going to go ahead and link these two. Special summon out the Rusty, declare the effect of Seer, which will go ahead and summon back the Burning Abyss Cherubini, and then we're going to go ahead and use the Rusty effect, allowing us to go ahead and send the Tawnscales and set from our deck a Fogblade. Pretty much we're going to have the same board that we had before, I think, so this is not the end of the world. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and banish the Cloak, allowing me to search the boots, summon out the Tawnscale. Then we'll also go ahead and use the, where is it? The Water Enchantress. Go ahead and search another right. And then we'll use the Tawnscale, discard the right, which will allow me to put in the graveyard our wings again. Like so. And then we can special summon the boots, overlay these two. Summon out the Breaksword. Rusty kills the Breaksword, summons back them both. Then we overlay these, special summon out the Redoer, and then we use the Redoer again to go ahead and put this in the banish zone, this in the grave, banish the boots, search the rank up magic, and yeah, that's pretty much just the same board we had before. Yeah. But that was a little better because we didn't open the Seer. Like, yeah, this is what I'm saying. This deck can do a lot. Like, normally the best hand is Water Enchantress, level 3 extension, and any Phantom Knight. If you can get to any Phantom Knight, normally you have full combo. So it is really, really strong when you can play the deck like this. So, yeah. But from this point onwards, we literally just go... What? We set the rank up magic. Pass turn. Opponent's turn happens. They do something. Banish the wings. Summon the Breaksword back. And then we rank up magic, summon Ophion with a pop on board, and yeah, pretty much this. And the good thing about this combo, guys, is that if you want to, you can actually do this on your own turn as well. So if we, well, the Redo would be back on the board as well. So if we wanted to do this during our opponent's turn, or during our turn, because we think our opponent's playing branded, you can just banish the wings, summon back the Breaksword, and then summon Ophion on your own turn. Just so you have the ability to play around stuff like Super Poly, the branded fusion in the main phase, like just stuff like this. So you do have the ability to kind of deal with that, which is really nice and I really do like. So it's not the end of the world if you do worry about that. You do lose the pop from Rusty Bard each if you do it like that, if you do some of the Ophion during your own turn, because then you obviously don't have the rank up spell engrave to go, well, the wings and the Breaksword engrave to go ahead and pop something. But nonetheless, this is still a really good board where you have a Redo a random effect, you have a Rusty Bard each, which is still a pop if you don't use it on your own turn, you have the Ophion that's just preventing level 5 or higher special summons, the Griffin Rider which is Nominate, a Fogblade, and we didn't even use the 2 Ashes in our hand because we drew that well that we could just do all of this. So yeah, like honestly, this deck is really, really strong. Those out there who say it's not, listen, look at what I can make, look at what you can do, and if we're not in a level 5 format, you know what we do? We just cut the rank up spell, put a 3rd Fogblade in, and just continue playing the game. Because we don't need the Ophion, we only play the Ophion right now because we look up branded players, we look at Sword Soul players, and we just think, yeah, I don't want you summoning your big monsters. Hell, I just don't want to see my opponent summoning big synchros and being able to punch over me half the time. Like, that's why I play Ophion, because I just don't want to deal with that. And hell, it stops the Punk engine, it stops the Furion engine as well. Like, it's just, there's so many things it deals with, and it's just so good because of that. But guys, that is honestly all I have to say for this video. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did learn something about the deck, learn some combos. I know some people said, how do you make Utopic Future Draco? Well, that first test hand, that's how you normally do it. You go ahead and go through the 2 Levianeers, use the Burning Abysses, go through this combo like that. But guys, that is all I have to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Maybe playing something else, maybe playing Phantom Knights, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And yeah, guys, that's all I have to say. Thanks so much for watching. Robobat1, signing out. Later all.